When the emergency signal appeared, nobody answered it. The warning beacon flashed across every public network inside Frontier Colony 17. Red letters. Priority alert. 2 missing juveniles. Last known location, Sector Red 9. The room fell silent for less than 3 seconds before people started looking away. Some returned to their work. Others quietly closed the notification. A few simply shook their heads. Everyone knew what Sector Red 9 meant. Hundreds of square miles of wilderness stretched beyond the colony walls. Dense forests, deep ravines, unstable terrain, predatory wildlife. Rescue teams called it the Red Zone for a reason. Most people called it something else. The place where good intentions went to die. The emergency transmission continued repeating every 60 seconds. 2 alien children missing. Estimated ages 8 and 6. Last contact received 14 hours earlier. Probability of survival decreasing. No official rescue team available. Volunteers requested. Nobody volunteered. Outside the colony, evening storms rolled across the distant mountains. Thunder echoed through the darkening sky. Inside the operations center, workers avoided eye contact with the display screen. They had families, jobs, responsibilities. The risk simply outweighed the reward. Then the door opened. Cole Walker stepped inside, carrying a battered field pack over one shoulder. He looked more like a mechanic than a hero. Dust covered his boots. A maintenance jacket hung loosely over a gray shirt. His dark hair needed a haircut. His coffee was already cold. He had spent the entire day repairing water filtration systems near the Southern District. The emergency signal caught his attention while he was eating dinner alone. Now he stood beneath the flashing warning display, reading every detail. A dispatcher noticed him. "Do not bother." Cole looked up. "What happened?" The woman sighed. 2 children wandered into the red zone. She pointed toward the screen. Tracking beacon failed hours ago. Cole studied the information. Parents. The dispatcher hesitated. Mother reported them missing at dawn. The answer lingered. Cole stared at the map. 2 small locator markers blinked weakly near the edge of a mountainous region. Then one disappeared. A second later, the other vanished too. The room became even quieter. Someone muttered that it was over. Another worker shut down a search request window. Cole continued staring at the map. How many rescue teams went out? The dispatcher laughed once. Not because it was funny. Because it was not. None. Cole nodded slowly. Why? Because nobody wants to die chasing a signal that is probably already gone. Several people nearby looked uncomfortable. Nobody disagreed. Cole remained silent. The storm outside intensified. Rain began striking the colony's reinforced windows. Somewhere beyond those walls, 2 frightened children were facing the night alone. The thought settled heavily inside him. Finally, he set his coffee on a nearby desk. "I will go." The dispatcher blinked. "What?" Cole adjusted the straps on his field pack. "I said I will go." Nobody spoke. Several workers stared at him as though he had lost his mind. Maybe he had. Cole walked toward the equipment lockers without waiting for permission. Behind him, the emergency signal continued flashing across the room. 2 missing children. No volunteers. At least that had been true a minute ago. Outside, thunder rolled across the wilderness waiting beyond the colony walls. And somewhere deep inside the red zone, 2 small lives had no idea that one stubborn human had just decided they were worth looking for. Rain hammered the colony walls as Cole Walker prepared for departure. The equipment room sat near the southern maintenance sector, far from the comfortable offices where rescue requests were usually discussed and forgotten. Metal lockers lined the walls. Emergency lights reflected from rows of field gear. Most of it had not been touched in months. The red zone had a reputation. People entered when they had no choice. They rarely volunteered. Cole moved through the room with quiet efficiency. Survival pack, water filters, medical supplies, thermal blanket, navigation beacon, portable scanner. He checked each item twice before securing it inside his field pack. A young technician stood nearby watching him. "You know nobody expects you to do this." Cole zipped the final compartment closed. "That is probably why I should." The technician shook his head. The last drone lost contact 20 miles inside the forest. Cole slung the pack over one shoulder. "Then I will go farther than the drone." The answer did not sound brave. It sounded practical. The technician somehow found that even more concerning. 20 minutes later, the outer security gate opened. Cold rain swept across the reinforced checkpoint. Beyond the colony walls, darkness stretched toward distant mountains. The wilderness looked alive beneath the storm. Trees bent in the wind. Mist drifted across rocky ridges. Every warning sign posted near the gate suddenly felt justified. A security officer handed Cole a locator device. Last signal came from here. A blinking marker appeared on the display, deep inside Sector Red 9, far beyond normal patrol routes. How old are the kids? Cole asked. 8 and 6. The answer settled heavily in the silence. 8 and 6. Children. Not explorers. Not trained scouts. Children. Cole nodded once and stepped beyond the gate. The massive doors closed behind him with a low metallic rumble. Instantly, the colony disappeared. The wilderness swallowed everything. Rain soaked through his jacket within minutes. Mud covered the trail. Branches scraped against his sleeves as he pushed deeper into the forest. Hours passed. Darkness thickened beneath the towering trees. The portable scanner occasionally detected movement in the distance. Large movement. Fast movement. The red zone earned its reputation honestly. Yet Cole continued forward. The emergency locator still carried a faint trace of the children's last known signal. Weak. Intermittent. But enough. Around midnight, he reached a narrow ridge overlooking a deep valley. Lightning illuminated the landscape for a brief moment. Dense forest stretched for miles. Jagged cliffs cut through the terrain like scars. Somewhere out there, two frightened children were facing the storm alone. Cole activated the scanner again. A faint reading flickered across the display, then vanished, then appeared once more. Not the original beacon. Something smaller. A personal transmitter. His pulse quickened slightly. It was the first promising sign all night. He adjusted the scanner settings and followed the signal deeper into the valley. The terrain grew rougher with every mile. Rainwater rushed through narrow channels carved into the rock. Visibility dropped. Several times he nearly lost the signal entirely. Then, just before dawn, the scanner produced a stronger response. Cole stopped walking. For several seconds, he stared at the display. The reading remained stable. Close. Very close. Somewhere ahead, hidden beneath the storm and darkness, two small lives were still transmitting a signal, which meant one thing. They were alive. Cole tightened the straps on his pack and started moving faster. Because after an entire night of uncertainty, hope had finally appeared. And hope was worth chasing. The signal led him into the deepest part of the valley. Dawn arrived slowly beneath a ceiling of storm clouds, turning the forest into a world of gray shadows and dripping branches. Rain had finally weakened, but everything remained soaked. Water dripped from towering trees. Mist rolled across the ground. The portable scanner in Cole's hand emitted a soft pulse every few seconds. Each pulse brought him closer. The reading had grown stronger during the past hour. Not strong enough to guarantee success. Strong enough to keep moving. He followed a narrow animal trail winding between ancient rock formations. Several times the terrain forced him to climb over fallen trees and cross fast-moving streams fed by the storm. The forest felt strangely quiet. Too quiet. The scanner occasionally detected large life forms moving through the area. Most remained distant. Some did not. Cole never stopped long enough to investigate. Finding the children remained the only priority. Eventually, the trail opened into a small clearing hidden between steep cliffs. The scanner suddenly emitted a continuous tone. Cole froze. His pulse quickened. The signal was directly ahead. He slowly scanned the area. At first, he saw nothing. Then movement caught his eye near the base of a massive fallen tree. Two small figures, curled tightly together beneath a makeshift shelter built from branches and leaves. For several seconds, Cole simply stared. Relief arrived so quickly it almost hurt. He approached carefully. Hey. The older child immediately moved in front of the younger one. Protective. Instinctive. Brave despite obvious fear. Large golden eyes watched him from beneath damp silver hair. Cole lowered himself slowly to one knee. It is okay. The younger child peeked out from behind his sister. Both looked exhausted. Mud covered their clothing. Rainwater soaked through everything they wore. Yet they were alive. That was all that mattered. Cole placed his scanner on the ground and removed a water container from his pack. My name is Cole. Neither child responded immediately. The older girl tightened her grip on her younger brother's hand. Are you from the colony? She finally asked. Her voice sounded small and strained. Cole nodded. Yes. The answer changed everything. Fear remained, but hope appeared beside it. Mom sent you. The question lingered. Cole smiled gently. She never stopped looking. The girl's eyes filled with emotion she clearly fought to control. The younger boy finally stepped forward. We try to go home. Cole glanced toward the cliffs surrounding the clearing. One look explained the problem. Every direction appeared identical. Dense forest, steep rock walls, endless wilderness. Children could wander for days without finding the correct path. I know, Cole said quietly. The younger boy looked down. I am sorry. The apology struck harder than expected. These children were frightened, hungry, exhausted, yet somehow worried about causing trouble. Cole handed them water. You can apologize later. The children drank carefully. Neither rushed. That alone told him how long they had been rationing supplies. He removed emergency food packets from his pack. The smell immediately caught their attention. For several minutes, nobody spoke. They simply ate. The storm clouds slowly began breaking apart above the valley. Small patches of sunlight appeared between the trees. For the first time since entering the red zone, Cole allowed himself to believe they might actually make it home. Then his scanner emitted another warning pulse. Not from the children. From somewhere deeper in the forest. Large movement. Multiple contacts. Approaching. Cole slowly looked toward the tree line. The journey to find the children was over. The journey back had just begun. The scanner continued pulsing every few seconds. Each pulse carried the same warning. Multiple large life forms. Closing distance. Cole looked toward the tree line surrounding the clearing. Thick mist drifted between the trunks. Rainwater still dripped from branches overhead. Nothing appeared unusual. That was what worried him. The red zone rarely announced danger. It simply placed it in your path and waited for you to notice. Nira saw the expression on his face immediately. What is wrong? Cole secured the scanner to his belt and stood. We need to leave. The young girl did not argue. That alone told him how much time they had spent surviving out here. She immediately helped her younger brother gather the few supplies they had managed to keep dry. Cale looked up. Are we going home? Cole nodded. That is the plan. The answer earned a small smile. It disappeared when another warning tone sounded from the scanner. The approaching contacts had moved closer. Much closer. The journey out began immediately. Cole placed Nira in front and Cale between them. The formation was simple. Easy to protect. Easy to monitor. They moved through the forest at a steady pace, while morning light slowly filtered through the clouds above. Several times Cole checked the scanner. The contacts remained behind them. Tracking. Following. The realization was difficult to ignore. By midday, they reached a narrow canyon cutting through the valley. High cliffs rose on both sides. A shallow stream flowed across smooth stone beneath their feet. The route offered faster travel and fewer obstacles. It also limited visibility. Nira studied the cliffs nervously. I do not like this place. Cole understood why. The canyon amplified every sound. Water, wind, footsteps. Everything echoed. Yet the route saved several hours. They continued. Halfway through the canyon, Cale stumbled. Exhaustion finally caught up with him. Cole immediately stopped. The boy tried standing again and failed. His face reddened with frustration. I am slowing everyone down. Cole crouched beside him. You are 6 years old. Cale looked unconvinced. Nira placed a hand on her brother's shoulder. Mom says resting is not quitting. The boy finally nodded. They paused for 10 minutes. Water, food, breathing room. Then they continued. This time Cole carried part of Cale's gear to make the walk easier. The afternoon passed slowly. The scanner readings gradually spread out. Whatever had been following them seemed to lose interest or change direction. Relief arrived cautiously. Not enough to relax completely. Enough to keep moving. As the sun began descending behind distant clouds, the forest finally started thinning. Cole stopped near a ridge overlooking the wilderness. Beyond it, miles away, faint lights glowed on the horizon. Frontier Colony 17. Home. Nira saw them first. Her eyes widened. Look. Cale turned. For several seconds, neither child spoke. Then relief broke across both faces at once. Home. After everything, home was finally visible. Cole smiled despite his exhaustion. We are getting close. The children stared at the distant lights as though afraid they might disappear. Then Cale asked the question that had been waiting quietly between them all day. Do you think Mom is still looking for us? Cole followed their gaze toward the horizon. Somewhere beyond those lights, a mother was probably standing beside communication equipment refusing to give up hope. Yes, he said softly. I think she is. Neither child noticed the emotion in his voice. They were too busy looking toward home. And for the first time since entering the red zone, Cole allowed himself to believe they might actually reach it. The lights on the horizon felt close. The journey home proved otherwise. Darkness arrived before they reached the outer patrol routes. The forest swallowed the last traces of sunlight, while cold wind moved through the trees. Cole checked the scanner again. No immediate threats. No new warning signals. Just miles of wilderness separating them from safety. Nero walked beside him without complaint despite obvious exhaustion. Cale stumbled occasionally but refused to admit he was tired. The determination impressed Cole. Children had a remarkable ability to keep moving when they believed home waited ahead. They eventually stopped near a cluster of large boulders overlooking a shallow valley. The location offered protection from the wind and a clear view of the surrounding terrain. Cole decided it would be safer to rest for a few hours rather than risk navigating dangerous ground in complete darkness. Nira immediately understood. "We leave at sunrise?" Cole nodded. "Exactly." The children settled beneath thermal blankets while Cole activated a small field heater powered by emergency batteries. Warm air drifted across the shelter. For the first time since finding them, the situation felt almost manageable. Almost. Cale stared toward the distant colony lights visible through gaps in the trees. "Mom is probably worried." Nira looked down. The statement carried more weight than either child intended. Cole adjusted the heater settings. "She is." The answer came without hesitation. Both children looked toward him. "How do you know?" Nira asked. Cole smiled faintly. "Because that is what parents do." Silence followed. The children seemed satisfied with the explanation. A few minutes later, Cale spoke again. "Do you have children?" The question caught Cole off guard. He stared into the darkness beyond the heater's glow. "No." Cale nodded thoughtfully. "You would be a good dad." The observation arrived with complete sincerity. No dramatic music. No emotional speech. Just the honest opinion of a 6-year-old boy sitting beneath a thermal blanket. For several seconds, Cole could not think of an appropriate response. Nira rolled her eyes. "You cannot just say things like that." "Why not?" Cale asked. "Because it is weird." "It is true." The siblings continued arguing quietly. Cole found himself smiling despite everything. Hours passed. The children eventually fell asleep. Nira kept one arm wrapped around her younger brother, even in her dreams. Protective. Familiar. Cole remained awake. The red zone was not a place where people slept deeply. He monitored the scanner. Watched the darkness. Listened to the forest. Around midnight, a transmission suddenly crackled through his communication device. Static filled the channel. Then a voice emerged. Female. Strained. Exhausted. Desperate. "This is Lysera Voss requesting any available information regarding 2 missing children." The message repeated. Again and again. Cole sat perfectly still. Nira and Cale did not know their mother's voice was echoing across the wilderness searching for them. The transmission continued. Every few minutes. Every hour. Refusing to stop. Cole finally activated the communicator. The signal strength remained weak. Distance and terrain interfered with transmission quality. There was no guarantee the message would reach anyone. He pressed the transmit button anyway. "This is Cole Walker." Static crackled. "I found them." Silence followed. Then more static. Then a sharp intake of breath from somewhere far beyond the forest. The connection failed immediately afterward. No further words. No confirmation. Nothing. Yet Cole smiled. Because for the first time since this journey began, a mother somewhere beyond the horizon finally knew her children were alive. And tomorrow, if everything went well, she would see them again. Sunrise painted the forest in shades of gold and silver. Mist drifted between the trees while morning light slowly pushed away the shadows of the night. For the first time since entering the red zone, Cole allowed himself a brief moment of optimism. The children were safe. Their mother knew they were alive. The colony waited just beyond the horizon. All they had to do was keep moving. Nira and Cale woke quickly. The excitement of going home seemed stronger than exhaustion. Within minutes, they were eating a simple breakfast from emergency rations while asking questions faster than Cole could answer them. Had their mother received the message? How much farther was the colony? Would their favorite teacher still be worried? The questions came one after another. Cole answered what he could. The rest required patience. They resumed walking shortly afterward. The terrain gradually became easier. Dense forest gave way to lower hills. Animal trails became maintenance routes. Every mile carried them closer to civilization. Around midday, the first signs of organized search activity appeared. Broken branches marked by survey drones. Temporary locator beacons attached to trees. Emergency signal markers placed by volunteers. Nira immediately recognized one. That was not here before. Cole smiled. People have been looking for you. The realization seemed to affect both children more than expected. Kale looked down at the marker. Mom really did not stop. No, Cole said quietly. She did not. The afternoon passed beneath clear skies. Then, just after 3 o'clock, the colony finally appeared beyond a ridge. Massive defensive walls rose above the landscape. Communication towers stretched into the sky. Solar arrays reflected sunlight like fields of glass. Home. Nira stopped walking. So did Kale. For several seconds they simply stared. Then both children started running. Not away. Forward. Toward the colony. Toward safety. Toward everything they thought they might never see again. Cole followed at a slower pace. His legs felt heavier now. Adrenaline no longer carried him forward. Relief had taken its place. As they approached the outer checkpoint, movement exploded across the colony entrance. Security personnel emerged first. Then medical teams. Then civilians. Dozens of them. Word spread faster than any official announcement. The missing children had returned. Nira reached the checkpoint first. Kale arrived seconds later. People rushed toward them. Voices called their names. Medical personnel tried conducting evaluations and immediately lost control of the situation. The entire checkpoint transformed into organized chaos. Cole stopped several yards away. He preferred it that way. The children belonged with their people. His part was finished. Then the crowd suddenly parted. Not because someone ordered them to, because everyone recognized the figure moving through them. A woman. Tall. Graceful. Blue skin illuminated by afternoon sunlight. Silver-white hair flowing behind her. Golden eyes fixed entirely on the 2 small children standing near the gate. Nira saw her first. Mom. The word echoed across the checkpoint. Kale immediately joined in. Both children ran. The woman dropped to her knees. Seconds later, all 3 disappeared into an embrace that seemed to stop time itself. Nobody spoke. Nobody interrupted. Even the medical teams stepped back. Cole watched quietly from the edge of the crowd. A mother holding her children again. Nothing else mattered. For several moments the world narrowed to that single image. Then the woman slowly lifted her head. Her eyes moved across the crowd. Searching. Looking for someone. And eventually they found him. Standing alone near the outer fence. The human who had brought her children home. For several seconds, neither Cole nor the woman moved. Around them, the checkpoint remained filled with noise and motion. Medical personnel checked the children. Security officers exchanged reports. Citizens celebrated the impossible outcome. Yet somehow everything felt distant. The world narrowed to a mother holding her children and the human standing quietly at the edge of the crowd. Nira finally pulled away from the embrace first. Her eyes immediately searched for Cole. Mom. The young girl pointed toward him. He found us. Kale nodded vigorously. He came all the way into the red zone. The woman's golden eyes never left Cole. She slowly rose to her feet. The movement alone changed the atmosphere around her. People stepped aside instinctively. Conversations faded. Several officials lowered their heads in respect. Cole noticed it immediately. Whoever she was, she carried influence far beyond that of an ordinary citizen. The woman crossed the distance between them. Her children remained close behind. When she finally stopped a few feet away, neither spoke at first. Emotion made language difficult. Up close, Cole noticed signs of exhaustion. Sleepless nights. Endless worry. The look of someone who had spent days imagining the worst possible outcome. You are Cole Walker. Her voice sounded calm, but only barely. Cole nodded. Yes. The woman looked toward her children, then back toward him. You found them. They did most of the hard work themselves. Nira immediately protested. That is not true. Kale agreed. We would still be lost. The woman listened quietly. Then something unexpected happened. She bowed her head. Not a dramatic gesture. Not ceremonial. Genuine gratitude. The reaction seemed to shock several nearby officials. Cole looked uncomfortable immediately. You do not need to do that. The woman raised her eyes. Yes, I do. Silence followed. One of the security officers approached cautiously. Governor Voss? Cole blinked. Governor. The title explained the reactions around him. The woman was not simply a worried parent. She was the elected governor responsible for the entire colony region. One of the most influential leaders in the sector. Cole stared for a second, then looked back toward Nira and Kale. Suddenly, several details made more sense. The security response, the emergency broadcasts, the scale of the search effort. Governor Lissera Voss noticed the realization on his face. A faint smile appeared despite her exhaustion. You did not know. No. Most people do. Cole shrugged. It never came up. Several officials exchanged looks. One actually laughed quietly. Governor Voss looked at him for several seconds, studying him, understanding something. Then she asked a simple question. If you had known who they were, would you have gone? Cole looked toward the children. Nira still held her brother's hand. Mud stained their clothing. Their faces remained tired despite the relief. To him, they looked exactly the same as they had in the forest. Two scared kids who needed help. Nothing more. Nothing less. Yes, he answered. The response came immediately. Governor Voss inhaled slowly. Around them, the crowd continued watching, waiting. Yet for a moment, titles and politics disappeared. There was only a mother trying to understand why a stranger had risked everything for her children. And there was only a human who genuinely did not understand why anyone thought the answer required explanation. The question lingered in the air long after Cole answered it. Governor Lissera Voss continued studying him as though she expected a different response. Not because she doubted his honesty, because she genuinely could not understand it. Around them, the checkpoint slowly returned to life. Medical teams escorted Nira and Kale toward evaluation tents. Security officers resumed normal operations. Citizens shared the story with anyone willing to listen. Yet the governor remained standing in front of Cole, unwilling to let the moment end. You knew nothing about them, she said quietly. Cole nodded. No, nothing about my position. No, nothing about what I could offer in return. Cole looked genuinely confused. Offer. The reaction caught her off guard. Most people understood the value of gratitude from someone in power. Most people expected rewards, recognition, opportunity, influence. Cole seemed unaware the possibility even existed. Governor Voss glanced toward her children. Through the open entrance of a medical shelter, she could see them talking excitedly with staff members while wrapped in warm blankets. Alive, safe, home. The sight threatened to overwhelm her all over again. She turned back toward Cole. You walked into the red zone alone. Yes. The area contains hundreds of dangerous life forms. Cole shrugged slightly. That sounds like a number someone in administration came up with. A few nearby security officers laughed before immediately pretending they had not. Even Governor Voss found herself smiling. It was the first genuine smile she had managed in days. Then something changed. Her expression softened. The weight of fear and exhaustion finally began giving way to gratitude. Real gratitude. The kind that could not be repaid with money or official commendations. Come with me, she said. Cole blinked. Where? Please. The single word carried enough emotion that he stopped questioning it. 20 minutes later, they stood inside the colony's central assembly hall. The building normally hosted public meetings, emergency briefings, and official ceremonies. Today it held something else. Hundreds of citizens had gathered after hearing the news. Families, workers, teachers, rescue volunteers. The room fell quiet when Governor Voss entered. It became even quieter when people noticed Cole beside her. He immediately looked uncomfortable. Public attention clearly was not his favorite environment. Nira spotted him first and waved enthusiastically from the front row. Kale followed. The gesture somehow made everything worse. Now everyone was looking directly at him. Governor Voss stepped onto the central platform. For several seconds, she simply looked out across the crowd. Then she spoke. 3 days ago, my children disappeared into the red zone. Silence filled the hall. Everyone knew the story. Many people wanted to help. Her voice remained steady. Many people searched. Many people hoped. She paused. But only one person walked into that wilderness when nobody else would. Every eye turned toward Cole. He immediately wished they would stop. Governor Voss continued. He did not ask who my children were. Her golden eyes shifted toward him. He did not ask who their mother was. The hall remained silent. He simply went. The words settled over the crowd. Some lowered their heads. Others looked thoughtful. A few appeared emotional. Governor Voss took a slow breath. Then she looked directly at Cole Walker. For a moment her voice almost failed. When she finally spoke again, it carried the full weight of a mother's gratitude. For the first time in my life, someone saved my children before asking who I was. The hall became completely silent. And for perhaps the first time since beginning this journey, Cole Walker found himself without a single word to say. For several seconds after Governor Lissera Voss finished speaking, nobody moved. The assembly hall remained completely silent. Hundreds of people sat watching the humans standing beside the governor, waiting for some kind of response. A speech, a dramatic statement, a heroic declaration worthy of the moment. Cole Walker offered none of those things. He simply stood there looking mildly uncomfortable beneath more attention than he had ever wanted. The silence lasted long enough that several people began smiling. Then Nira laughed. A small sound. Honest. Impossible to resist. Kale immediately joined her. Within seconds, the tension dissolved. The room relaxed. People smiled. Some even applauded. Not because Cole enjoyed recognition. Because everyone understood they were witnessing something rare. A person who had done the right thing for no reason beyond the fact that it was right. Governor Voss stepped away from the platform and approached him. In her hands, she carried a small object wrapped in dark blue cloth. Several officials straightened immediately when they saw it. The reaction caught Cole's attention. Whatever the item was, it mattered. Lissera carefully unfolded the cloth. Resting inside was a silver insignia shaped like two interlocking stars. Simple, elegant, ancient. This honor has only been awarded 12 times in the history of our colony, she said quietly. Murmurs spread through the audience. It is given to individuals who place the lives of others above their own. Cole stared at the insignia, then looked at her. Governor, I really do not think, please. The single word stopped him. Lissera smiled softly. Let me finish. The hall became silent once more. Many people have power. Her golden eyes moved across the crowd. Many people have titles, influence, authority. Then she looked back toward Cole. Character is rarer. Carefully, she placed the insignia into his hand. The metal felt unexpectedly warm. For a moment Cole did not know what to do. The governor seemed to understand. You do not have to say anything. That earned a few quiet laughs from the audience, including one from Cole himself. The ceremony ended shortly afterward. People slowly returned to their lives. Officials departed. Families went home. Children resumed being children. Yet one small group remained near the front of the hall. Nira, Kale, their mother, and the human who had brought them back. The children immediately surrounded Cole. Questions arrived faster than answers. Had he really crossed the canyon? Had he really followed the signal all night? Did he actually sleep sitting upright beside a field heater? Cole discovered very quickly that surviving the red zone was easier than surviving two curious children. Lissera watched the interaction from a short distance away. A peaceful expression settled across her face. The fear that had haunted her for days was finally gone. Sunset arrived outside the assembly hall. Golden light poured through enormous windows overlooking the colony. The crowd had disappeared. The day was ending. Eventually Nira wrapped her arms around Cole without warning. Kale followed a second later. The hug lasted only a moment. Yet it felt strangely important. Thank you, Nira whispered. Cole smiled. You are welcome. The children returned to their mother. Together they walked toward the exit. Before leaving, Lissera paused. Her eyes met his one final time. No speeches remained. No ceremony. No politics. Just gratitude. Genuine and permanent. Then she nodded and stepped into the evening light with her children beside her. Cole remained standing in the quiet hall. Outside, the colony glowed beneath a sky filled with stars. Somewhere beyond those walls, the red zone still waited in darkness. Dangerous, unforgiving, unchanged. Yet 3 lives had returned from it together. And as Cole looked down at the silver insignia resting in his hand, he realized something simple. The greatest reward had never been the honor. It had been seeing 2 children run home.